Prioritizing work can be a daunting task for UX practitioners. Prioritization methods help us make important decisions based on objective, relevant criteria instead of subjective opinions. I'll outline 5 methods in this video: impact versus effort matrix, feasibility, desirability, and viability scorecard, the Rice method, Moscow analysis, and the Kano model. First up, an impact versus effort matrix. This is a 2D visual that plots items based on user value, so impact to the user, and implementation, think technical feasibility. The resulting matrix captures a relative effort necessary to implement items and then their impact on the user. It can be subdivided into 4 quadrants. First, quick wins. These are items that are worth pursuing. Big bets include high effort and high value items. These should be carefully planned and prototyped, but are likely to be differentiators against your competitors. Money pit items are not worth the business investment. And then the last quadrant, fill-ins, may be easy to implement, but are potentially not worth the effort as their value is so minimal. This method is extremely malleable. You can easily replace each axis with other criteria or use multiple matrices to assess more than 2 criteria. I like using this method for quick, collaborative prioritizations. You can use a matrix as a shared visual to align mental models, and it can be done relatively quickly due to its simplicity. Next, we have a feasibility, desirability, and viability scorecard. This is a straightforward method that scores items based on these 3 characteristics. Feasibility, which is the degree to which an item can be technically built. Desirability is how much users want the item. And then last, viability, is if the item is functionally attainable for your business. Total scores are then compared, discussed, and reorganized to determine the final prioritization. Now, what I like about this scorecard format is that it's highly customizable. You can add more columns to reflect criteria specific to your organization's context and goals, or even replace criteria with others that are more relevant to you. The third approach is the Rice method. RICE, Rice, is a prioritization framework developed by Intercom that takes into account 4 factors: reach, impact, confidence, and effort. Reach is the number of users an item affects within a given time period. Impact is the value added to those users. Confidence is how confident you are in the estimates of the other criteria. And then last is effort, and effort is the amount of work necessary to implement the item. The Rice method ranks items based on multiplying reach, impact by confidence, and then dividing by effort to calculate final scores. I found the Rice method works really well for organizations that are more technical in nature. For example, when your stakeholders are most comfortable with equations or spreadsheets. I recommend including peers with diverse domains of expertise when using the Rice method and assigning them the task of calculating the score for the criterion that relates to their expertise. Next, we have the Moscow analysis. This is a method that clusters items into 4 primary groups: must have, should have, could have, will not have. So must-have items are those that are vital to your project or product. Should-have items are important to the project or context, but not absolutely mandatory. Could-have items are not essential, but wanted by users and nice to have. However, they'll only have a small impact if they're left out. And then will not have items don't present enough value and can be deprioritized or dropped. Moscow is a great prioritization method for teams looking for a simplified approach with a very clear time box identified for the work. Without a clearly scoped timeline for completing the work you're prioritizing, teams run the risk of overloading the must-haves. I mean, of course, everything's going to feel like a must-have if the timeline is 2 years away. Last, we have the Kano model. This framework groups items into 4 categories according to user satisfaction and functionality, and then plots them on a 2D graph. Based on these scores, items fall into 4 categories: attractive, performance, indifferent, and must be. The attractive category are items that are likely to bring a considerable increase in user delight. User excitement has the potential to grow exponentially. The performance category contains items that are utilitarian. The indifferent category contains items that users feel neutral towards. And then last is the must-be category. These are basic items that are expected by users. Now, one prioritization method is not better than the other. Once you find an approach that works for you, don't be afraid to iterate. Adjust and adapt it to fit the needs of your team.